Hey, what's going on, everybody? Ryan Newpel here, Knup Sports Show, episode 205. Hey, I first want to apologize. It's been a minute since I've been on here. The summer months just kind of catch up with you and lots of family stuff, lots of travels going on. So I haven't brought you a show episode and I don't know, maybe it's been a month now. But guess what? I'm going to make it up to you because I have a really, really awesome guest today. Somebody that I respect a lot in the industry and that I'm super excited to bring his story to you and let you learn a little bit more about this individual. We are just a week away from NFL football season started. I could not be more excited, super excited for this season and everything that goes along with football season. I mean, we all love and wait for this day. So soon it's coming. All right. Well, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring on my guest today. I have none other than Matt Deutsch of Bettor Sports Network. Matt, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. The eve of the NFL season. It's a great time for sports business and fantastic summer. I hope everybody's enjoying the year and time for us to all buckle down, get in the huddle and have some fun.
Isn't that funny? We go throughout the whole summer almost like depressed, right? We're like sitting here like, what are we going to do? There's no sports. There's no football. I mean, obviously there's baseball, but like then it comes and all of a sudden we're like, oh, crap, we're not ready. As sports business people, we're like, oh, we're behind. Why didn't I do stuff all summer? And so I don't know if you feel that at all, but I always feel that right when football comes, I'm like, oh, crap, it's here.
It's mostly because of the tremendous innovation and technology opportunities in our space. I mean, there's so much happening. There's so many great companies and smart people doing cool things. You want to do a little bit of everything. You want to be here. You want to be there. You want to do something small. You want to do something big. It is quite a rush to be able to put it all together and a challenge to multitask and prioritize.
Oh, absolutely. Well, cool. Well, Matt, let's dive right in here. I want the audience to get to know you a little bit. They probably already do know you, but first off, tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe your career path leading up to Bettor Sports Network and kind of what brought you to where you are today.
Well, thank you. I'm a sports radio junkie. Grew up in the New York area, listening to WFAN radio in the late 80s and following sports, and such a different time back then, pre-internet. Rolled through college and dove into radio as the best way for me to work in sports and fulfill my dream. Worked in community radio outside New York City and really learned everything about the broadcast industry, from covering live shows and news and stories to writing and running a board and selling and cleaning toilets and scraping satellite dishes off with snow and really doing it all. It was fantastic. I didn't have much of an opportunity in college to study broadcasting. So the community format was wonderful for me. And I would recommend to everybody out there looking to get their start in broadcasting is become an intern, dive in, work part-time, offer to do anything, and find a spot where you could really learn it all. I was tremendously fortunate to get a tour to WFAN radio right around the turn of the century, the place I always wanted to work. And on that tour, I found myself in the program director's Eric Spitz's office and told him I would do anything for him to let me come and work for WFAN. A few weeks later, got a call, worked in the newsroom at the Fan outside of the legendary Mike and the Mad Dog doing their shows in the afternoon, and then got to work in the studio and do New York Mets baseball and send the broadcast to break and have my basically production before the game and after the game, and such a rush. And then ultimately led to producing talk shows at the Fan and doing a lot of great things. Moved to Sirius XM in 2004 to get a national scope on the broadcasting industry. Learned a lot. Couldn't believe how passionate college football is in this country. Didn't really see that in New York, but the college football crowd on the national level at Sirius XM, and of course, all the live events that we did at Sirius XM Sports, at the Daytona 500, the Super Bowl, the World Series, the NBA All-Star Game. We were everywhere. I pitched my boss, Steve Cohen, on the first fantasy sports radio channel. We didn't have that back then. You had to listen to terrestrial radio to try to find some information. And the host didn't want to take your calls. They were afraid of the fantasy football people, that we knew the sport better than them, and they wouldn't answer our questions and they wouldn't put us through. And we knew there was tremendous passion for fantasy football. And Steve knew, as a fantasy football Hall of Famer himself, So we pitched it to the CEO, Mel Karmazin, and he said yes. And we launched Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio in 2010. I was a first-time dad working with a staff in a different city, a true remote manager. And we did so many fantastic, wonderful things there. We broadcast live from the NFL draft. We had NFL rookies sitting down at our table at Radio City Music Hall talking about being drafted in the NFL from a fantasy football perspective. Of course, we had Maurice Jones-Drew, the running back of the Jacksonville Jaguars, hosted his own show, Running with MJD. He was the number 3 pick overall in 2010. The Jaguars didn't want him to do the show. They'd be afraid. They thought he'd give away the game plan. Maurice was very smart in the way that he worked fantasy football, and he was really the first person on the athlete level that embraced fantasy. And if it didn't go well there, look, who knows what would have happened.
Yeah,
I was at SiriusXM for a long time and watched the industry closely, saw sports betting becoming legalized. When the pandemic came, all of us radio producers were working from home, using fantastic, innovative equipment. And I knew then that there was an opportunity for me to go off and produce my own network, something I always wanted to do. I thought I'd have to buy a radio tower. But with the innovation in remote equipment, I informed SiriusXM and left on great terms, saying I wanted to start my own network on January 1st of 2022, set off on my own. Was so humbled and honored that people that I had worked with in my past wanted to work with me again. Some fantastic people that joined our team. We found an app in the marketplace. We purchased it. We built on top of it. And on August 29th, 2022, we launched Bettor Sports Network, focusing on fantasy sports, betting, and collectibles, a live interactive sports talk network using all the latest technology and stuff that hadn't been done before. I really wanted to use this as an opportunity to fix radio, change radio, help radio. We took out commercial breaks. We took out 60-second scripts that don't sound authentic. We built a lot of technology like a one-touch call-in button, so you didn't have to dial 9 numbers when you're driving around and call in. We do video calls. We do instant prizes at the touch of a button you could win. So it's been a hoot to be able to put this together as a first-year entrepreneur. We just closed out our first year. We've learned so much, Ryan, and I can't wait to talk about it.
That's amazing. There's a lot to unpack there, Matt. Thank you for that detailed trip down your journey. This show, I love to feature you in what you're doing, but I also like to bring a little business into it as well. And I'm going to jump right in here because you said something really early in what you said that just kind of in my mind. A lot of people look at people like yourself and they say, man, I want to be there. I wish I was him. I wish I was doing what he was doing. And you said something early that, one of your first jobs, you're basically like, what do I need to do? I'll do anything to work here. I will do anything to be a part of this. And that kind of led you to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, all these stepping stones that kind of got you to where you are today, right? I think a lot of people are scared to take that, like almost like dig in the dirt and do whatever it takes to get started. Tell us a little bit about that and just how you were able to, almost like humble yourself and say, I'll do anything to work here, and how that led you just to where you are today. I think that's a lesson for some people that are trying to get somewhere to take.
I think no matter what industry you're in, this attitude that I've had will help you. And it was a refuse to be outworked attitude that I've always had. We can't control our talents. We can get better. We can learn. But what we can control is how much effort we put in, how much focus we put in. And I was never going to get outworked in that area. In a nice competitive way, obviously, learning from all my colleagues, reading, watching what other people were doing, staying late, not worrying about a clock, and just being there, just being a fly on the wall, taking it all in. Yep. Whether I'm in a newsroom, watching people produce a studio or watch people write or sell. On the community level, it was really easy to humble myself. I had no beginning. I had nothing. So I came in saying, I want to learn it all. And, just never say no. Of course, it's easy to say that. Of course, life gets in the way and everybody's got things going on. But through my years, there have been others that have worked for me, with me, and they had that never say no mentality. And it does help. It helps as a manager to be able to know who you can count on. It helps as a manager to know who you can come to with an uncomfortable request. Maybe ask somebody to do something that's, quote, beneath their pay level. But sure, it's so comforting to know that you've got people that will roll up their sleeves, dive in, and aren't afraid to do job one from the beginning. And as a leader, it's important to do that yourself. Yeah. So I've always had that refuse to be outworked, do everything mentality, just get in the door. If you're talent, if you want to be a host, a play-by-play person, I've always said, just do it, just reps. And back in my day, it was go sit in Madison Square Garden and talk into a tape recorder. Now you don't even need to do that. Everybody's got access to the internet and can get their voice out there, can get their work sampled, post on your podcast, post on your website, show the world what you're doing, experiment. I mean, what a great time we live in, that not only can everybody see what you're doing with no barrier of entry, but there's no more predefined job titles. Like we came in, you had to be this or that. And if you could do multiple things, that was great. But there was no, well, I'm going to create my own job title and I'm just going to show you all that this can work too. And now you have that. So it's a fantastic time for the dreamers, and you have innovative technology so that if you could think it up, you could do it.
I love that. I love your energy, Matt. I really, really, really do. I want to dive into Bettor Sports Network and talk a little bit more. I know you gave some bullet points of what problem you have solved, what problems you have solved with Bettor Sports Network. But let's dive in, talk a little bit more in detail about what it is, what shows you guys are hosting. Why don't you give us kind of a little bit more guts about Bettor Sports Network?
Well, so much has changed. We started out with 17 hours of live content a day on the app. And I was thinking very, very linearly, as I always have in my career. But now with the appetite for on-demand, now with the appetite for content across different platforms, we've really pivoted. And we're not only producing 17 hours of live content a day. We're live on the app sometimes. We're live on social media. We are producing short-form content. We're doing gamification during live sporting events, asking question and answer, predictive questions. It's really changed a lot. Yeah. But basically, in the end, we have stayed true to our idea of building a community around fantasy sports, betting, and collectibles, interactive talk, interactive content, fun, inclusive for everybody, not all about stats, not all about trends and making money. Like, just substitute fun for money. Like, anytime you want to say we're going to help you win money, just say we're going to help you have more fun. Fun works. We need more people into the sports space. So our idea was to talk to people that aren't betting $1,000 every week. They talk to people that aren't paying $500 for their fantasy football league or running 12 fantasy football leagues. People that just have a casual interest, but feel like there's nowhere for them to kind of ask the questions of what does this 3-letter acronym mean? What is a point spread? So we're not doing enough teaching in the industry, and I know we're just getting started. So we thought there was an opportunity for us to create a community built around fun and inclusion and certainly interaction. In the radio side, we haven't done enough with live chat. Hopefully our broadcasting brothers and sisters will do more with that now that we're on digital and radio. There's more of that. But the streamers have it right. And it started in esports and now on Twitch and everywhere else, YouTube, there's chat. And chat is fantastic. And our shows all offer chat, and our hosts, everyone does it differently. Some read every single comment, which is unnatural for me as a radio guy. We would never take every single caller. We're screening the calls. But there are some hosts that read every single chat comment, and they know that people that come in there, they're not going to leave if they don't get their comment read. So I'm learning a lot about that. We certainly offer chat. We have call-in technology right now to be able to have video calls and have people ask questions about the sports they love, the games they love. And most of our content is now shifted away from the app now towards YouTube. We're now in the playground with 1 billion people, but that's where everybody is consuming content. We're learning a lot about search engine optimization. We're learning a lot about how to get our content in front of people. Like, talk about what we've learned here. I've produced content my whole life, but I've always been on a big platform. And now I have to go find people. I have to go get my content in front of people every single day on multiple platforms. And it's not enough to just have good content. You have to be in front of people or no one's going to see what you're doing. So we put a lot of time into the science of SEO, try to have our live content on YouTube. That's the Bettor Sports Network YouTube channel. We're all over Twitter with short form content. We're all over TikTok and Instagram. We try to be able to position ourselves in different ways, very similarly, but speaking a different voice on the various social platforms. And, we've gone from producing 3-4 hour radio shows to putting the same exact time into preparation into a 45-second short. We're doing strategy meetings about a 45-second clip, and how do we grab people, and every single word is strategically thought out and every graphic is strategically placed. And it is wild to be able to go through it and see how consumption habits are changing and to try to meet the needs for the younger generation, which we have to do. And that was a big part of what Bettor Sports Network was. I just wanted to give myself a chance to get ahead of the curve, stay ahead of the innovation, find younger people. I mean, let's face it, I don't think 25 and under is listening to radio anymore. We really blew it as an industry. And I don't say they, I say we. We haven't done enough to change radio and get young people on it. So we got to fight that fight and get people back into theater of the mind and audio. But being on YouTube and producing video has been a huge experience for us as well. We're very big on video graphics now. We're inserting graphics just like you have here. We've got a ticker. We've got lower thirds. I'm basically producing TV now. So, we're learning a lot about it. It's no longer about control boards. It's much more about everybody's work from home setup, their internet, their HD camera, their background, trying to make it all work in a remote environment to produce content. So, I mean, that's where you find us on YouTube, Bettor Sports Network, at Bettor Network on social media. And we have a lot more outlets since we've grown. We've acquired Fantasy Alarm in the spring of 2023. We were able to make a strategic partnership there. One of our co-founder is a former principal at Fantasy Alarm, and saw a great opportunity to work with that legendary brand to really speed up our timeline. So now that we work with Fantasy Alarm, you can find our content on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube channel. What comes with that is a great team of analysts and behind-the-scenes staff that are now on the Bettor Sports Network team. And we produce Fantasy Alarm content. We're at fantasyalarm.com. It's obviously NFL season. This is a group that does the best draft guide in the business. We've got our cheat sheet available for free. Everything's there at fantasyalarm.com/NFL. You want to support me? Great way to do it. Take out an all-pro subscription. You won't be sorry. We cover all the sports. No matter how you're engaging in sports, you're going to like this content. We produce shows on Bettor Sports Network. We've also inherited the SiriusXM afternoon drive radio show on my former channel. So now I'm on the other side of it, working with my former colleagues. Talk about never leaving on a bad note, right? This is how it happens. You got to always leave on good terms. I'm all of a sudden working with my former staff on the 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern drive time show with Howard Bender and Jim Bowden on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. We've got Discord on Fantasy Alarm. So that's really where you find our content.
Woo! I mean, how do you keep up, Matt? I mean, you went from, let's talk a bit about that. I mean, being an entrepreneur, right, and owning your own business and doing your own thing, it's not simple. There are like 1,000 pieces, and you just mentioned 1,000 things that you have to do and you are a part of. You seem like the kind of guy that thrives on that, though. Talk about your entrepreneurial experience now that you kind of went from ground up with a company. What, you're a year old now, right? Like you're a year in. Tell us about the experience for you personally. How do you keep up? Do you get any sleep? And how are you enjoying that journey?
Well, nobody's sleeping in our industry this time of year. It has been a wild ride. I'm an ADD person. I've always been a multitasker. I'm never 100% with anybody mentally. For the last year, I always know 3 or 4 things that I am juggling behind the scenes. I always know who's on the air. I always know what's coming up. I always know what problems we have to solve, whether they be today, tomorrow, or next week. There's a lot to it. I mean, certainly delegating to people you trust and recruiting people and letting them do their jobs is hard for me, but so important. Now that we really have multiple pillars of our business, and I'll get into Bettor Sports Productions and the BettorCast app as well, we really need project managers to run those sides of the business. And frankly, they don't want me in their sides of the business. Like they've taken away my rights. They don't want me involved. So, I'm kind of strategic and focus on content and work on the business-to-business opportunities and the sales, and have surrounded myself with really smart people that can do their thing, whether certainly on the fantasyalarm.com and the BettorCast app and what we do for Bettor Sports Network. I mean, when you're producing live content, you have to be on it. You have to be on the news. There's always something going on with someone's internet or a news story breaking or someone's getting asked to do this and you got to move things around. So live content is not easy. And I think that's a big reason why we see less and less live content being produced. Not only are we in an on-demand society, but live radio, live streaming is hard. And it requires a lot more bandwidth and investment to be able to go down that road. And that's why we wanted to be live, because we saw a lack of live content out there, a lack of community and interaction in the real moment. So it's literally raising a 4th child for me. Probably spend more time with this child than I have with my first 3, because, I don't have the security and the comfort of corporate radio behind me anymore. It's really just me and a small team, and we're fighting every day.
That's amazing. And you're right. I mean, going live and doing all this, content, it's tough these days. It's not easy. And I want to shift gears. I'm leading into something. I think that's probably, we've had this discussion in the past a few times in passing about, we're doing some B2C stuff and some B2B stuff, and we're kind of all over the place, myself included. I'm doing some of that. You're doing some of that. But this stuff you're doing here with the Bettor Sports Network is not easy. And there's businesses and companies and people all over the world that want to do it. They just don't know how to do it or how to be a part of it. So tell us a little bit of how you are tackling that problem and hoping to solve it for the industry.
Well, there's so much of it. Number one is the talent, right? There's great talent out there that just wants a microphone, just wants to be heard. And, people are professionals. They need to be paid. You got to figure out the right way to recruit people and bring them in. And the best people want feedback. They don't want to just do shows. So it's not enough for me to just sign up the greatest influencers and roll my 17 hours out. They need to know that I'm watching their shows. So, what's the worst thing is the host calling you the next day. What'd you think of my show? And you're going to tell this person you didn't see it. They're pouring their life out there. So, there's a lot of that feedback. Treating people right really is hard. Producers need tender, loving care. There's so much attention to detail that goes into this, from how we're posting on social media to monitoring chat to making sure the graphics are correct. To the audio levels on music that we're playing. So you really need somebody that eats, sleeps, and breathes it. You really want someone that treats it like a drug. And fortunately, in radio and broadcasting, we have these people out there. Like, it's part of their DNA. They just live it. They love it. The hard part is, compensating people, right? I mean, we're independent contractors, part-time hours. You want people to pour their life into their shows, and you need to find a way to reward them. But you also have to keep an eye on the bottom line, right? I learned really quickly with my bragging last year by saying, we're going to do this and we're going to do this with production and creativity. But now you have to put a dollar amount on that creativity. I know the people that can come up with the amazing song parody, but they got to write it and they got to perform it, and they're professionals. So you got to pay for it. So a little bit harder to stream it up. You got to have a business case around everything you do. Live news, you really have to have your finger on the pulse. I mean, information is out there, and you need to have professionals in there and experience, because things can go wrong. People can say stupid things. Crazy news can break that's outside of our sports format. We don't know how to deal with it, whether it be a natural disaster or some civil case or something that's got the nation on fire. How do you handle something like that? Are you ignoring it? Probably not the right answer. Are you allowing your host to say whatever they want to say? Probably not the right answer. You have to find a way to be authentic and true in everything you do. So being live creates all of that, and creating a podcast and just posting it that night is a lot easier.
For sure. Thanks for that insight there, Matt. You talked about you mentioned briefly Bettor Sports Productions. I want to dive into that a little bit and see what you have to say. What is Bettor Sports Productions? Give the audience a little bit about that. I think that's a newer area that you're diving into, but I want to hear from you on what you're up to.
Well, thanks for asking. As we build our live network and build our live community and work in a very crowded space, we needed other ways to bring in and generate revenue, to bring in income, and try to leverage our expertise and our relationships to say, why don't we use the fact that it is a crowded space to our advantage? Why don't we use the fact that everybody's in the content game to our advantage and offer our skills to the industry, from everyone from startup to fanatics? They are all in the space. Not everybody understands it. Everybody's probably paying too much for it. So why don't you allow Bettor Sports Productions to come in here, produce your show for you in your voice, in your brand, your podcast, your song parody, your live event, your commercial. Let us admin your social media network and lead your strategy. Let us take what we've learned from SEO and help you get in front of the people who need to see your message. So that's been part of my whole career of working with clients and working with sales. It's very important that you do it in their voice, their color scheme, their logo, their influencers, their voice. And listen, you make a mistake for your company, you're not liking it. You make a mistake for another person's company behind the scenes, that's a whole different ballgame. So, I mean, it takes a great responsibility. It takes a great trust. Fortunately, we're now up to 10 clients that are engaging with us at Bettor Sports Productions in a number of ways, many of them behind the scenes. And this is working for us. we have found something that kind of makes sense. Everybody needs production services, and there's a deal to be had, small or large, with everybody, or working relationships. So that's been fantastic. We've got live shows, we've got podcasts, we're writing, using our website, using the Knup Sports Network to really create a true 360 opportunity for our clients. We have Bettor Sports Network, we have fantasyalarm.com, the SiriusXM radio show, fantasyrundown.com, and sportsbettingrundown.com. We have all these different ways. Discord, the Bettercast app. We have a deal with Yahoo, deal with New York Post. So now we can lay out all these different ways to be able to move the needle and create content in authentic voice for our clients, from a 30-second spot to a 4-hour live event and everything in between. So it's been fun. It's been a challenge. We're just getting going now. You can find me on LinkedIn at Matt Deutsch. It's the best way to get me. Bettorsports.com. If you look all the way at the bottom, you'll see Bettor Sports Productions. You can make an appointment with me. I'd love to talk to anybody out there about what they need in this space and see if we can explore options to help each other.
Amazing. Well, congrats on all the success there with that. And man, I trust me, being in the agency world and in the B2B side of things, I understand the challenges and the rewards that come along with that type of a business division that you're adding. And I wish you nothing but the best there. I think you guys certainly have the team and the experience and the knowledge to help a lot of companies. So I love it. I urge all the listeners, reach out to Matt, talk to Matt. See what he can help you with. One of the great guys in the industry, and just a great guy to talk to as well, Matt. I really, really do enjoy hanging out with you a little bit and chatting.
We could do this all day. Let me go into the app real quick. The Bettercast app, we just dropped it. It's free. We changed it to full-time gamification. So basically the plan is every night we'll have a live contest where we ask you predictive questions about the sporting event we're all watching. For the first time in my life, I'm admitting you're watching something else. So we're a companion app, and we ask you questions every couple of minutes about what's going to happen. We're all chatting with the same sports fans around the country watching the game. We play for prizes. We keep score. We have standings. We can do a lot with this. We could do game shows. I can do watch parties with celebrities. Basically anything that has a yes or no answer, I can gamify, and any sort of experience. We did the Masters. We've done the Academy Awards. We've done pub trivia. So please download the free Bettercast app. We're launching Week 1 of the NFL season. I think you're going to find it very unique, a gamification way for us to free to play, win some prizes, and I appreciate all the support in our community.
No, that's really cool. We'll put the link to that app, and I'm sure, is it in the app stores, as you said?
That's right. Apple app, Google Play stores, see Bettercast, and we'll light it up for Week 1, Sunday at 1 Eastern.
Oh my gosh, let's talk about that, man. We got Week 1 coming up. How excited are you? I'm sure the content side, I mean, it just spikes now, right? I mean, there's so much to talk about. College football, NFL, leading into NBA, college basketball, all the above. So it's like our Super Bowl. How excited are you for this time of year?
It's fantastic to be able to have all these sports around. Here comes the NBA with a global platform and a lot of different ways to engage in college football and NFL. It really is a fantastic time to be able to leverage all of the interest in sports at this particular time of year. We've got sports fans with high passion that are just looking to engage and have fun and learn. And there's a lot of smart companies that'll help them do that. So things do change once the season starts. We get out of fantasy football draft mode. We get out of NFL betting futures mode. We've found, and I've found, that September has always been the biggest month for business. And that goes all the way through SiriusXM on the Fantasy Sports Radio channel. September has been huge. People are playing actively, daily fantasy contests. They obviously have a little betting evidence in front of them of what these teams are. And we'll keep the pedal to the metal in September. And then here comes NBA, and try to figure out, as we always do, what are we going to do January through June? Like, that's always been the question for our sports media colleagues, is how do we keep this attention going through the spring? And fortunately, sports betting really does allow us to do that. Every day is a different day, a new slate, different sports to engage with, different sports to have fun with. So we've already hatching our 2024 plans, but let's bring on the NFL. I'm playing in 18 fantasy football leagues. As an entrepreneur, I can't put enough time into them. So let's just see how it shakes out.
That's amazing. Matt, really a pleasure to have you here. Any final words, anything we missed? I know we talked about a ton on here, but anything that you wanted to say before we get off here?
I just want to be able to help people out there. Now, it's a tough time for me to take calls, but LinkedIn's a great way to hit me up, connect, and I'll chat with you. I'd love to be able to help people. Building this business has taught me that just offering to help people brings back more help to myself than I could have ever imagined. It was the first thing that I learned. And so many people taught me that by saying, just help people and they're going to help you back. So that's been fantastic. If I don't get back to you, I'm not ignoring you. Stay on me. I'd love to be able to help. I love working with younger people. You don't have to be young to work with me. Mentor people, show them what to do, help them, give advice. So please reach out to me and let me help you on your journey.
All right, Matt. Really appreciate it. One last time, where can they get a hold of you? LinkedIn, bettorsports.com. What else?
Check us out on YouTube, the Bettor Sports Network, and Fantasy Alarm YouTube pages. We're producing content every day. We've got short form, we've got live shows, we've got drafts. All you fantasy football drafters out there, we've got the best draft guide in the industry right now. Free 7-day trial, fantasyalarm.com/draft guide. We'll hook you up. There's plenty of NFL betting in there as well. Support me. Please download the BettorCast app. It's free. And I'd love it if you took out a subscription to Fantasy Alarm.
It's that time of year. I don't have 16 drafts. I got 2 or 3 coming up, but I'm excited for them. So, Matt, I'll let you go. I know you're a busy man. Really appreciate your time. I hope to do this again on your year 2 and hear all the updates again. So thank you for your time, my friend.
I appreciate this. I know the smart people that listen to this show, and I'm honored to be a part of episode number 205. Thanks for everything you're doing for the industry, Ryan, everything that you have shared, all the information that you've given out to people, and you're a great guy. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Have a good one, Matt. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care. Thanks.
All right, that was Matt Deutsch, Bettor Sports Network. Really, really honored to have him on the show. I know we've been trying to make that happen for quite some time. So what better time than right before football when he's the busiest he could possibly be. So I want to really thank Matt for coming on, being a part of this show. Man, lots of great nuggets in that. From a business side, lots of great advice that he probably didn't even mean to give, but did give just through some of the things that he said. So if you're an up-and-coming entrepreneur or a leader or just anybody listening to this show, I really urge you to go back, listen a couple times. You'll get some nuggets out of this show for sure. We'll have this whole thing transcribed and up in the show notes. We'll have links. We'll have it all put on YouTube and everything. So you'll be able to find this anywhere and everywhere. Please make sure you subscribe to our podcast as well, the Knup Sports Show. You'll find it on Spotify, Apple, all the other channels out there, so you don't miss any interviews like this that we had with Matt. All right, enjoy your football time. Get prepared for those fantasy drafts. Until next time, I'm Ryan Nupel checking out. 205 is in the books. We'll talk to you guys all soon. Have a great one. Bye-bye.